cover the rest of this workshop. Traditionally, what I would do is talk about digital storytelling, and it's kind of a way of telling a story in a digital format using kind of the narrative story arc. But let me just hover over that. And we'll talk about building. So before you get into Adobe Spark, there's a few things I do always suggest. You're creating a digital video. I'm not too sure what your assignment is, but essentially whatever video or whatever digital resource you do create, there's always a good idea to try to have a conceptual idea of what you want it to look like. And I've seen people come in and they storyboard their ideas out, meaning they draw every scene. It's a little bit much, but if it helps you, go for it. I will talk about scripting a little bit later on. It really does help, especially if you're working with narration, meaning you're speaking throughout your video. And with that said, just having that kind of like trajectory before you start is really important. Like I mentioned, I assist a lot of students in our studio who are doing video projects, and sometimes they come in and they're very motivated, they're ready to go. I ask to see their script to help them out. They don't have one, fair enough. They start recording, they stumble a little bit, they have their uhs and ums when they're speaking, but they get through it. And then they start editing and they realize, hey, in this scene, it would have been really helpful if I had a clipboard on, or if I had some text on the left side of me. But because they were standing in the middle of the shot, there's no space to put any text. So now they have to reshoot, they have to change their idea, whatnot. But had they thought about that a second before filming, all they would have had to do is take that one step and then problem solved. Sometimes capturing those ideas before your build just helps you while you're building. And I'll get into that a little bit more. Pinpointing your data or figuring out what you want to include in your video is also pretty important. I like to use this as an example. What's this? Yeah, it's a subway map. And where do you see the subway map? In the subway, yeah, in the subway stations. And usually you see someone who's a little bit lost looking at the map, and they're trying to figure out how to get from, let's say, Lawrence to Ossington Station. So they look at the map, they find Lawrence, there we are. They now know they go south, they cross over, they go to Ossington. This map includes the information needed to make that decision, or to inform that viewer. Does this map tell us which subway stations have Starbucks nearby? No, because it's not important to someone who's lost on the subway. Although that information might be correct, it's not relevant at that moment. So let's re-image that map and imagine this is what you saw when you're lost in the subway. I don't have any station names, so I don't know where we are, and it's talking about walking distance between one station to the next. Although this information is correct, and maybe relevant to someone who's doing a walking tour of Toronto, it's not helpful to someone who's actually lost in the subway. So I guess what my point is, when you make your video, although you might find information out there that might be relevant to your point, if it's not relevant to your video, it might just become distracting. So really be disconcerting with what makes it onto your video and what doesn't. I do a lot of graphic design work for Seneca. It's part of my job. What color do you think I have to use all the time? Red. Yeah, I have no choice. It's a brand standard, right? But I do know that if I put small italicized text on top of the red, it might not be legible to all. Maybe to you or I, it might be okay, but if I had low vision or if I was colorblind, that might be a nightmare. So even though you might have some parameters you have to work with, and with Adobe Spark you definitely do, making conscious design choices really help. I like to use this artist as an example because I think she's really talented. She makes infographics, but what she does is she uses real pictures and then embeds data on top of the picture. And I think she's really great. She does some good work, but sometimes she makes these decisions that I just don't agree with. And this is a good example of that. What do you think I don't like about this? Yes?
Oh, the white text on the white background?
Yes, exactly. White text on a white background. Okay, so I like to balance two things when I design, form and function. And what I mean by that form, it needs to look good. It needs to be pretty, it needs to have nice colors, a good flow throughout my whatever I'm designing, but it needs to also be functional. What's it supposed to do? In this case, it's supposed to communicate information, data. And if it's not doing that, especially if it's the form that's hindering that, then it's not doing its job. And that's something you kind of want to take with you when you start building your video as well. Make sure that if you are using colors, you are using graphics, whatever information you put on there is legible and it's being communicated to your audience. Okay. So as was mentioned, we are using Adobe Spark, and I could access that by typing spark.adobe